Check. All right. Leo, what's up? I see you.
Camera.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Is there a way you can put the camera down a little bit more so you can fill the right? Yeah, right there.
Is there any way you can flip the camera? Like the...
I'm not sure.
Like this way that Zoom does it? I mean, it's fine. It's just like the... So you present with here too?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So, I think, I can present. Can you see my screen now?
Oh yeah, I can see. Yeah, I can see your screen. Or I see me. And then I can see you, and then All right.
Cool. Is it okay with the camera, or is it like...
Maybe a little bit more down. I see a lot of headspace. Right.
Let me What about now?
Yeah, that's better.
Better?
Yep. All right.
My selfie.
Right there. That's even better. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and... What's up, everyone? Don't forget to say hi in the chat. Don't be shy. Say hi. We got about less than 7 minutes to go. I'm looking forward to this one. This is 1 year, episode 50. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm road to 2,000. I'll be picking this week's giveaway winners in about 4 minutes. All right, let's see who's in the chat. Sean, what's up, my man? Bradley, my man, what's up? Oh yeah. Stefan, what's up, my man? Tim Parkin from Orlando, Florida. Welcome to the show. Hello, Xavier. Adrian, what's up? With Mike's, I love SEO. What's up, my man? John Wick. Is part 4 coming out soon? Oh yeah. Thanks for subscribing, Tim. This is gonna be a fun show. Episode 50, 1 year. All right, Hobby has a joke here. SEO video joke. Why does SEO video host Paul Andre Dre de Vera has original unique hairstyle? Because he's not wearing a black hat. I mean gray. Ha 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 ha. Rasal KZ from Pakistan. What's up? Welcome, Aman. With mics. Looking forward to this one. Keyword Cupid is really cool. We got Greg from the Bay. He loves the Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. All right. Oh yeah, Adrian. Time flies. Thank you to 50 episodes. I actually skipped 2 weeks. Christmas and New Year's. Those are only 2 weeks I missed. Clint, what's up, my man? Oh yeah. We got a bunch of you out there. Don't be shy. Say hi. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pick this week's winners for a Rank Math Pro plugin, 1-year subscription, or an IMG course login, or an SEO sales framework. You get to pick one of those. I'm gonna go ahead and pick that right now before we start the show. All right, and all you gotta do is put I love SEO in the live chat to automatically get entered. Garth! Oh wait, I didn't even show you guys. Garth, you are winner number 1. Hobby, you are winner number 2. Be sure to claim your prize. I see you in the chat. Vinod Kumar Tanim, winner number 3. All right, I'll pick one more. Be sure to email me. Adrian, you just put I love SEO. You got it. Be sure to email me. Pick one of the 3. I think you have access to some of the things already, but there's some other cool prizes. All right. You know what, you guys? Be sure to put I love SEO in the live chat, because next week I'm giving away single user memberships to Keyword Cupid. Be sure to put your I love SEO, be entered automatically next week, and I will be giving you some passes to Keyword Cupid. All right, we got 33 seconds here.
Over 15 years in the game, so he knows all about it. Master the art of SEO, you will be amazed. Time to get your brand off page to on page. Dropping knowledge, legendary for sure. Whether you're just getting started or self-employed entrepreneur. Yeah, let's go. Subscribe to the SEO video show. Hey.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the SEO Video Show, where SEO is alive and fun. My name is Paul Andre de Vera, aka Dre, and I curate SEO videos released from the past week into about 1-minute clips. My favorite part of the show is when I get to introduce my guest, and my guest this week is the founder of Keyword Cupid, Leo Soulas. Before we get started, to say what's up to everyone in chat, I see John, Adrian, Amon, Stefan, Mikes, Bradley, Hobby, Rasal, Tim, Clint, Hobby. What's up, everyone? Thank you, and a special shout out to everyone at the Super Secret SEO chat group and IMG who have supported the show since day one. It's been 1 year, guys, so since I went live. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in every week. Be sure to put I Love SEO in the live chats or the comment section below to get entered in next week's giveaway. I'll be giving away single user accounts to Keyword Cupid. Tune in during the next pre-show countdown next week to see if you won. Please don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and that notification bell. I'm about to hit 2,000 subscribers, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. Now let's get on with the show.
This is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. Where is the best place to hide a dead body? Page 2 of Google.
Google posted a couple of blogs this week. How HTTP status codes and network and DNS errors affect crawling and indexing, and refreshed their redirects guide with different kinds of redirects and their effects on Google search. Links are in the description. This week, Amanda Milligan gives us 3 tips on making newsworthy content on Moz channel this week. Let's check one out.
Original data is a great way to do that. You can start with seeing if you actually have any internal data at your company that would be of interest to relevant publications. A lot of companies overlook this aspect. Obviously, you have to have permission to do so, but you might have information that would be really interesting, or maybe you have an email list or an audience that's pretty active that you can survey or poll and find out some information that would be appealing to people. So that's a good place to start. Otherwise, there's public data available. The government alone has tons and tons of publicly available data sets that you can use, and even combine different data sets to see some really interesting things. Thirdly, surveys and other types of data collection are great if you don't have the answer in data yet. Maybe you can run a survey, maybe you can scrape social media, maybe there is another way. We've done germ swabbing, anything you can do to collect data. Basically, a good way to think about it is ask yourself a question that's interesting to you and would be interesting to your audience, or think about what's interesting to your audience. And if there is no answer, ask yourself how you can find it. And then this piece will make the rest of the process exponentially easier, because when you go to pitch a reporter, you're going to say, I have exclusive research, new data that no one else has really talked about before.
One way you can grab some interesting data points are from social media advertising audience insights from like Facebook or Snapchat. I know my guest today has some great ways we can use this data. We'll be sure to ask him later. With more and more companies starting to invest in SEO, Kevin Indig, a past guest and director of SEO at Shopify, shares a trend that on the Rankable podcast with Jarret Thomas. Let's listen in.
The speed and discipline of execution is going to become much more important, because everything is so much more competitive, because the barrier to entry in creating content are so much lower. That just means that there's more competition. It's going to be more expensive to create content, and the teams that can go through quick iteration cycles and ship fast will win in this world.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to be nimble, especially with, like you said, with content creation efforts, focus on evergreen content, right? How we're going to compete in this space. What does our audience want?
How quickly do you push out content? One way I'm working on helping me produce more content fast is hiring help from jobs.ph. Shout out to my mastermind bros, Brad, Garth, and Matt, who is on this journey with me for building a content production house. I started this show to help us SEOs further our career in SEO. Jason Barnard, another past guest, shares a tip on CaliCube Tuesdays. Let's listen in.
Right. So being a senior SEO is about actually having a holistic approach, and I will say it, never saying it depends, looking left and right, and having the soft skills and the ability to actually get people on board, be it in your own team or the clients or both, and get them on board working with you to one single goal that everybody agrees on.
Working as an in-house SEO, you work with many stakeholders, and educating them is a must. Also, remember, you are a marketer. Don't silo yourself and just think you're an SEO. Have an understanding of your company's or client's marketing strategy. So if you want to further your career even more and become a successful SEO consultant, Brody Clark and Alita Soulas gives us some tips.
Absolutely pass on to different consultants who are making the move is the transitional approach that you can do from working in an agency and how you can work that out in a way which limits your risk and also is basically a gradual transition to being a consultant. So when I transitioned from working in an agency, when I was at the agency, I think I had 5 clients and they were some of the biggest clients of the agency. And with my biggest client working at the agency, I did a pitch to my manager saying, okay, I'm going to be leaving to do my own thing. I won't be an employee anymore, but I'd be happy to continue managing this one big client. And that's an interesting pitch for a business owner because for that big client that is so important for them and so important for their revenue, there's little change there. So you're continuing to do the work for some time. And for yourself, it's obviously good for the revenue standpoint. But there's a lot of different ways that you can structure that. Some consultants who've tried to do similar, but they've done it on an hourly basis. But you just don't want to get stuck in that trap of just taking on agency work because that doesn't help you build your own business.
100%. And what I have seen also, Brody, is former in-house SEO consultants that become independent and they keep that former company they work for as a client, right? So they will allocate the time that they tend to allocate usual clients.
SEO consulting is a side hustle. Is something I do. Be sure to check in with your HR team and be respectful to your employer and company. Do not consult for your competitors. How do you make sure SEO is a priority when launching a site? This last video by Ross Simmons, who will be a guest in a couple weeks, shares his thoughts. Let's listen in.
Step 1 in the process for making sure that SEO is a top priority is to actually understand the user intent of your audience, the people that you're trying to reach. What are they going to Google for and typing in when they are looking for your solution, your product, etc.? You have to start by understanding the keywords that they are typing into Google when they are looking for your solution. Once you understand that and you understand the words that they are using and describing to find access and get access to your site, you're going to ensure that your website is structured in a way that actually speaks to those problems and those questions. The next step is to go a little bit deeper. I always say that the sale is in the long tail. So what you want to look for is actually look for keywords and phrases that your audience might be looking for and typing into Google again, but aren't necessarily directly aligned with your product, your service, your offering. You want to understand, are they typing different questions? Are they asking certain questions to Google that they need answers to that aren't directly related to your business, but might be somewhat related to your industry? If you can then map out ways for your website to answer those questions as well, that's when you can start to unlock a lot of value from Google. That's when you can unlock a lot of value from people who have problems that you can solve, but they're not even aware that you could solve them.
Do you know who knows all about persona intent? Is my guest today. Please ask questions and about anything about keyword research, personas, intent, and I'll ask them in the order as they were received. As I get things ready, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
Leo is a data scientist turned entrepreneur. He received his master's in mathematics and computer science at NYU. He has a passion for data-driven methodologies and create highly scalable machine learning tools. He is the former data scientist for Comcast and currently the senior data scientist for Visible World. He loves kickboxing, powerlifting, and dogs. Please welcome the founder of Keyword Cupid, Leo Soulas.
Hey, what's up, Leo, my man? How are you doing today? Oh, wait, I cannot hear you. You're on mute. Can you... Check, 1 2 1 2. No, I can't hear you. Check, 1 2 1 2. can't hear you. Can you hear me okay? Oh, there you go. I hear you. I hear you. I hear right now.
You can hear me? No,
yeah,
really?
Yeah, I hear now. All right,
Well,
all right. There we go. There we go. Welcome, Leo.
All right.
Here just fine. Welcome to the show, Leo. You know, I've actually, I've heard of Keyword Cupid before, but I never knew who the founder was until I took your course at IMG. IMG Courses, guys, is a great place. You can learn about a few things. And Leo actually has a course there on keyword research. And Leo, dude, that course was awesome. I learned a lot of things from that course. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right. Speaking of that course, I want to get right into it. In that course, you have a process called keyword research called Veni Vidi Vici. Can you explain this process of Veni Vidi Vici?
So if you haven't understood from the name of Keyword Cupid, I'm cheesy AF. So what else could I have named my keyword process other than I came, I saw, I conquer? And I guess the reason that I've named it is because I think that it maps very well to what SEO is about, because it is a journey and it is a zero-sum game. So my win is someone else's loss. So there is this sort of I came, which is pretty much I came and understand the competition. I saw and I analyzed and just scraped, and then I conquer, hopefully by dominating the SERPs and dominating your vertical. The reason that I keep saying about research and about persona, and I think I aligned a lot with the videos that you shared in the beginning, is that the more, from my belief at least, the more the content becomes available, the more the sheer amount of automation and machine learning came to play, and we see a lot of really good written content that helps the writer. The barrier to entry lowers. So this means that the game is going to be played, especially because there's so much information. After COVID, there's so many people who are focusing to online and SEO and digital marketing in order to supplement their income, because they have been really affected. So where is the game going to be played? Because there's only one page one and position one for a certain amount of keywords. So the game is going to be played of how well you align with the target audience. How well are you capturing the specific kind of demographic that you're targeting? It's not just have keywords in your page anymore, have a certain page. It's about I know what I'm talking about, and I'm talking to you, Dre, who like certain things. And that's pretty much what I sort of preach in that course, is that we can start with data-driven methodologies, because I'm trying to remove gut feeling as much as I can and sort of rely on data and the public sentiment rather than my own inhibitions. So starting by tools that exist in order to help us do market research, like Facebook Audience Insights, which is pretty much a tool that helps marketeers and spend money on Facebook. Or Snapchat Audience Insights, which relies on Experian data, which is a very big data in the US. We can start sort of assembling a sort of a demographic persona, if I would say, that could help us understand who we're talking to. And then, in particular for that example, I was focusing on a pet niche, and instead of going and creating pages about pet toys and pet food, what I wanted to do is to find out, is there anything unique? So by following that sort of weird, stream of thought that I described in the video, we could find that, if you are a female, 25 to 35, and you have a dog, Facebook shows that you're predominantly in a relationship, you're not married, and you're not single. So then if you click on that segment and you go to the interest, you see Verazio engagements. Now you can come up with a story saying that, a millennial woman who has a dog and is in a relationship is about to get married. When you put that in Google in quotes, so you can find only the articles that are related to that persona or that intent, we were able to find a lot of interesting keywords by doing organic analysis of those URLs. For example, tuxedos for dog tuxedos for weddings, floral dresses for dogs, wedding invitation cards with their pets. So now we are able to sort of create a holistic kind of strategy that targets that persona alone.
Man, dropping these knowledge bombs already. When you're saying that, this is so advanced keyword research. I mean, you're going way beyond. You're going for the need. You're going to the intent. You're finding the audience. And guys, Facebook Audience Insights, Snapchat Insights, that's all free, right, Leo? I mean, they can just log in and look at this info, build your persona, and then you can reverse engineer this to come up with your keyword set. So, Leo, I need to rewind this real quick. I'm turning back the clock. I need to know when did you get into SEO? Because I know you're a data scientist first, right?
Yeah. So in a sense, bottom line is that, again, it's a long story, as most people have. That's why I enjoy SEO so much, because there's so many interesting people and so many interesting backgrounds. But for me, I don't claim to come from a background of struggle. On the contrary, my parents had humble beginnings, but they worked their asses off, and they provided me and my sister with the best opportunities. And I respect them a lot for that, and I never took them for granted. But I followed the transcript. I followed, I got, a very good engineering degree. I was valedictorian, and then I went and I got a graduate degree. I started doing a PhD at an Ivy League, and then I started working in companies like Goldman Sachs. I was doing everything that I was supposed to, and the society told me that if you do this, you're gonna live a good life. And eventually, in 2014, my father was diagnosed with brain cancer. And it was a really advanced form of brain cancer. So what ended up happening is that I had to quit everything, because he needed attention and he needed someone to, help him through the process, especially because I wanted to bring him here in the Yavin operation, and also sort of gather an exorbitant amount of money for him to be admitted here because he didn't have insurance. So what I quickly realized, and then I went through a destructive phase, because I pretty much stopped everything. I dropped my PhD, I dropped my hedge fund job. So I went back to Greece with him. And then I started after the dust settled, I started realizing that, money and everything is not as important as freedom and the ability to integrate your life with the people that you love. It's a very finite amount of time that we have here. So for me, everything became so much more clear about what I want to do and how much I want to spend whatever time I have left with my loved ones, how much I want to create passive or sort of semi-passive sources of income to affect the world, to help the way that I want. And for those things to happen, you need to sort of step out of your comfort zone and start assimilating other people who have done it. And I saw a lot of Lamborghini ads, on SEO, and eventually started taking courses, online courses. They were good to help me prove to my subconscious, because up until then I didn't know what a WordPress was. I had never stepped in that space. But I think the main key component that actually sort of made me I love this, is when I traveled to Thailand. Matt Diggity was hosting his first conference back then. And, I traveled there, I met really cool people. I started working, obviously there's a lot of mistakes along the way, but I think that that's the best way for people to learn and engage, is by grabbing other people and be hey, let me add value and we'll figure it out.
Love it. There's actually, I'm going to give you 2 knowledge bombs for that one, because get out of your comfort zone, you guys. I mean, that's for, want to get financial freedom, get out of your comfort zone and, just be able to do what you want, right? I mean, and then have more time for your loved ones. That's very, very important. We have something here with mice. You're not just smart, you're wise. Yes.
Oh my God, not even.
That's some magic over there. We got some knowledge bombs coming from Joe. All right, okay. So I wanted to go into you talked about how you learned it and everything like that. Now let's go into the journey. So wait, was it from the Goldman Sachs area and to did you just go straight to Cupid or how? I mean, fill in that gap right there.
Yeah, so my academic background was a lot in algorithm trading. I have a few chapters in books and papers around that. So it had nothing to do with SEO. The things that when I found SEO, it was like an engineer's playground, because there's so many modules that could be automated. So I started in affiliate marketing, and I'm still I think I identify with that a lot as an affiliate marketeer, and all the practices that go along with this kind of title. But I quickly made a lot of mistakes, especially PBNs, and especially a lot of the things that I was doing. So I always wanted to automate and just find a way to in a sense have a more streamlined and more of a data-driven environment. So keyword research I could automate easily. I could scrape pretty much everything in scripts. I could sort of I started automating link building too. I created a bot that learned how I negotiated and then scraped the site, found metrics from different vendors, and then sort of was bidding back to the owner of the site. So there was a lot of interesting things that could happen. But one of the main problems that I always had was how do you bridge the gap between content and website, or the keywords and website? because there was no systematic solution of like, you just have a massive list of keywords. But then what do you write about? How do you, and I had like an example because I tipped my toes inside the water of an agency life, which it wasn't for me. But then there was the question, like the guy had like stationaries and they had a lot of clients. It was a big company. So it was always the question of like, do I put like, leaflets, brochures, and then underneath the profession, like, lawyers, accountants and everything? Or do I put accountants and then underneath leaf brochures and everything? They both made sense, but I couldn't really disambiguate, like, which one should I pick? I don't know. I needed a data-driven strategy for that. And my background and my research background was a lot in unsupervised learning and deep neural networks. So there was a lot of interesting, things that have been done already in the field, and I have to call them out, like the algorithmic approach that TopVisor and SpySerp and SerpStat introduced, which was pretty much the initial thing. And what they are saying is that you have X amount of URLs in the when you're searching different keywords. If, for example, 3 out of the 10 or 5 out of the 10, they have different sort of bands. If they are matching, then we're grouping together. This obviously has some very obvious caveats, and I can demonstrate them as well. But simply is that the order matters here, because if you have 2, it's easy to realize. But if you have 3, like if those 2 are related with whatever metric, those 2 are related with whatever metric, but those 2 are not, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, if those 2 are not, then depending on the order, you will come up with a different cluster. So this was very biased for me, and it was driving me into different results all the time. So I wanted an approach that it will be evergreen. It will have nothing to do with, NLP. And I can explain why I didn't want to use those NLP packages. And for me, the most important and the only thing that actually SEOs would need for everything, even content optimization, keyword research, for even intent, the only thing you need to do is look at the Google landing search page. You don't need to even ever go inside and just look at the content. That's how long it is or anything. At least that's my belief. Because I will always love that bomb. But yeah, and that's what I keep saying. Like, organic research is the way to go. It's like not so much the keyword explorer stuff, because you're trying to rank for Google, right? So you're trying to see what is the distribution of keywords and the distribution of like intents that Google rewards certain websites with. And I think I have a sort of an example in the course where I was doing an example about IMG, right? And I wanted to sort of get my keywords around IMG to compete with them. So like if I search IMG on Google, and then obviously it's the Intermarketing Gold website, and I take that website and get the organic keywords, I get a certain set. But if I go to SEMrush and I type Intermarketing Gold, the keywords that I'm getting have also Intermarketing Gold Coast Australia. That has nothing to do with the intent that I want. So what's the point of like going to that explorer to give me keywords that they think is relevant to what I searched, rather than going to Google, which I want? I love that.
Man, that's some knowledge. Oh, that's a knowledge bomb right there. Yeah, because I do remember that you're going back and forth and you're getting totally different results. And it made sense to like, hey, just use Google as your tool of choice there. But you know what? I wanted to go to something that that you mentioned here. Content is not just king. I search quotes all the time for my guests, and this came up. I'm curious, what does this mean? I kind of like read some context around it, but can you explain for the guests of what does content is not just king?
Yeah, content it was like, I think it was what we wrote about, like, the whole content strategy and how important it is. It's not just the king, it's pretty much everything. It's like the kingdom and like the whole sort of like, the whole sort of cosmo theory of why you started that business in the first place. It's the content that you're putting and specifically who you're addressing. And that's why I keep saying that, tools should always be giving you the enablement. They should be enablers in order to do something, but they shouldn't try to automate it for you. And that's happens with content too. Like, again, like that is opposite from what I will be talking about later, pretty much like some automated content strategies. But those are just an example to show what works right now and why I keep saying what I'm saying. But in a sense, what I believe is that content is king and it's going to be massive. I have examples where we can just, play with few things from Google and just see where things are going and what is happening based on what you're posting in the page, like, or even the queries. Like the moment that you're typing several queries, it affects what you're going to be seeing later. So this means that the content of what you're putting in your site is very important to align to the target user that you're having. Yeah.
Nice. So content is the kingdom. Remember that, guys. It's everything. So let's go here. Let's see. I want to go into a little bit about. Okay, let's get into like the Keyword Cupid. I want to know like okay, why was it built? What were you doing here? Let's get into like why was it built?
Yeah.
And then I know you have some a case study that you want to share. I would love to check that out too. We actually got one question that came in real quick. Let's see if you can answer this quick. What is your SEO keyword strategy for pillar page or column page?
Yeah, so I guess it always depends on what you want to target. So in a sense, for me, a pillar page is pretty much the most important thing that I want to target in my sort of like vertical, in that branch of the tree. Like, for example, best protein bars for bodybuilding. That for me is my pillar page, or whatever you want to consider it. And then like, I don't usually do like content like the pillar pages through the URL. I like to put them all under the root. Again, this is preference. And then I like to structure my pillar pages or my branch through anchor text. And I do think that targeting anchor text, and especially like exact match of what you're trying to say, is important, because Google expects you to immediate with them what page is about. Like when you're linking to a page, it has to be with the anchor text that you want to pass the reference for that content, for that context to that page. So for me, the pillar page, as I said, is the one that it's the most sort of inclusive of what you're trying to target in that vertical. I don't know if that answers the question, but.
Hobby, hope that answers your question, because that was a great knowledge bomb right there. But you know what? We actually got another question right here from Brian. And since we're on the topic of Keyword Cupid and we're about to get into it, Leo, I want to ask you the same question I asked Nick Jordan from Content Distribution. What is the difference between your software, Keyword Cupid, versus Content Distribution, Cluster AI?
Yeah. So I think like that. I mean, I have played with all these. As I said, like let me actually share my screen, because I think it's going to be quite interesting.
Okay.
Content distribution, right? Cluster AI. I think it has the same methodology as top visor clustering, and I think they have sort of like streamlined it a bit more. But the bottom line is that this methodology here, as you can see, it has a certain number of. It's an algorithmic methodology. What you're doing here is you're saying that 3 out of the 10 SERPs or something that are matching, we're just grouping them together. And I think they have some documents in their page where they sort of outline their algorithm. But the whole premise is that I think they are relying on 3 out of the 10, if I'm not mistaken. So once they are sort of related to 3 out of the 10, you group them together. And if there's something that is not 3 out of the 10 with all of them, you don't group it together. There is, how do you plot or paint? How do I draw online? All right, auto draw. All right, so like let's just say that we have 3 keywords, right? We have A keyword, we have B keyword. My God, this is going to be rough. And we have C keyword. So if those two that have 3 out of the 10 SERPs are the same, and then these 3 out of the 10, and then let's just say that there's 1 here. And I have an example on the course actually about this. And I apologize, it's handwriting. It's very difficult with the pad. But all right, based on this approach, this algorithmic approach, look at what can happen. If you start with A, B, and C, if that's how the brute force algorithm passes through the keywords, what could happen is that you can have A and B are related with 3, so they are grouped together. And then C comes here, and then C is related to A for sure, but it's not related to B. So B and C don't have 1, so it's not going to be grouped. But what if you had organized your keywords, or the algorithm just shuffles them and puts them like this? So now you have A, C, and B. My God, I'm horrible at this. But anyways, those are problems that you occur because, and also like who came up with these 3 out of the 10? That was my problem with Spicer when I was using this. Like some niches, you needed more specification because it was more spammy and you needed more. And it needed to fluctuate. So what Keyword Cupid is doing is that it doesn't do any of those. So all we are doing is that we are sort of constructing a multi-dimensional vector. For obvious reasons, we cannot visualize more than 3 dimensions as humans. But in this sort of semi-white paper here, I'm describing the methodology of like how we're plotting those keywords into this 100-dimensional space. Because in mathematics, you can create a 100-dimensional space. This is a two-dimensional. And what I'm saying here is that if I could plot all these keywords into some sort of arbitrary space that is relative, like that the position is relative to the distances in the SERPs between with anything else, maybe I can find out the things that Google now thinks that they are related. So for me, this is pretty much something like this is for two dimensions. I said, if you had two SERPs and it looks like this, obviously you have 100. And there's also a weighting that, the first SERPs are more weighted than others. So there's like a difference when you're plotting that space. But regardless, like this 11, for example, doesn't know exactly what it is. Like we have no, like the system doesn't understand what's happening. But in that 11 here, like it sees a certain properties in this cluster. It says like a homogeneity of this, like that's how it's called, like this metric where all these data points are very related and there's a band around them. So it considers this as a cluster, as cluster 11. And what happens to be in the middle is called a centroid. So I'm calling this the centroid. And that's pretty much it. That's what I'm doing. And I can go and talk about some results and like how exactly you can interpret this, if that makes sense.
All right, let's see.
So in a sense, like I'm just going to describe an interesting sort of like study I did for like a personal injury lawyer niche and the car accidents specifically. So let's just say delayed knee pain. And I like this example because it unravels a lot about the strategy and why Keyword Cupid is very different than any other methodology, because it doesn't sort of just check the pages. It checks the pages and all the other silos or all the other relationships that could be built. For example, knee pain after a car accident. You can see here that like all the keywords that were grouped together here have to do with knee pain in a certain amount after a car accident. Knee pain 1 week after a car accident, 3 days, 3 weeks. Knee pain and excessive bruise. The reason that they were grouped together is because the time component is not as important in this kind of intent. Like if you go to a doctor, they're not going to treat you differently if you have a 3-day pain and a 3-week or a month pain. Mm-hmm. You have a knee pain after a car accident. So that's the intent that we were able to find. But there is something very interesting when we're looking at higher levels too. So for example, I mean, all of them are pretty much sort of like surgically kind of like accurate. Like you see here in the SI joint, you don't see any pains or anything. You see sacroiliac, you see pelvis, which is the sacroiliac joint. But then the higher level relationships, because we provided so many supporting keywords and the system was able to understand and identify all the different sort of like intents and how Google was grouping them, you see that the higher level clustering, all those sort of pages here, the way that they were grouped is meaningful. So knee, leg, SI, tailbone, hip. The system doesn't know what it is, but to a human, it makes sense what it is. And these are lower body parts. When you go here, you can see that these are all face parts, like tooth pain, everything that has to do with tooth. It didn't group together with the jaw because it's different intent, but it's closer. The tooth and the jaw are closer to the hip and the knee. And then similarly, here you can see all the things that have to do with the upper body. And the main question to ask here, and that's the beauty of this, is that why on earth the system was able to understand anatomy when I have provided no information about what is what? The reason is that this came from what happens in nature. So like when I was asking, it's like when you get in a car accident, you usually get injured in zones. So you have sort of problems in zones like your head, or if you get hit from the back, I think it's like your pelvis or anything that you're hitting, or from the sides, like a whiplash and the shoulders. So in a sense, we were able to understand domain knowledge about a very specific kind of intent that not even like, unless you're an actual ER nurse or someone who takes care of those people, you wouldn't know that, if you get injured in like your hands, you will get probably injured in your collarbone or something. I mean, you probably could understand this, but what I'm trying to say here is that there's a certain kind of like sort of context that you're getting just by looking and understanding why those things were grouped together in an unsupervised way, obviously.
Wow. How do you even find the intent from that? Because I mean, well, okay, we'll get a question here from Garth. How many keywords did you actually input in this car accident example?
16,000.
16,000.
And the reason that is, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So, and again, there's one point that I think there's a lot of people are talking about now, the zero impression kind of searches, the zero impression kind of keywords. And I mean, I couldn't agree more. This has been like, this is pretty much what I was doing like since I started. And I'm happy that people are sharing this right now. I think Matt has a very nice interview with Corey where they discuss about this. And the reason that this was able to be mapped like this is because we provided all the supporting keyword and this evidence that sort of all this like this zero impression terms or semi-zero impression terms were apparent. If I didn't provide all these terms like about tooth pain and gum and tooth are related, the system wouldn't have known. And the way I'm sort of relating is like as an astronomer. Like if you're trying to find out, the constellations in the sky, you can't keep looking at like you may not be able to find Cassiopeia or Big Dipper if there's if there are lights or if there is a cloudy sky. So you need to provide enough keywords from your vertical so the system can go and understand and learn what Google has learned or reverse engineer it. But the reason that I developed it and I wanted it, I mean, again, I developed it for my own purposes. Like those were my own scripts that I just thought that, I want to somehow add value if I can to people and connect with more cool people like you. So I was like, all right, let's put it up. And the reason that I developed this is because I want to be evergreen and as evergreen as I can be. And the reason that I am saying this word, although it's a heavy word, is because this doesn't rely on anything else. So it doesn't rely on Bert or Ernie or Batman or whatever they call it later. Mm-hmm. And I can explain why this is. I have an example here where I coded like a Bert example where I can show you what it does because a lot of people talk about it, but it's very easy to see what this Bert does and how it works and why sometimes it's not the solution for everything. But long story short, this sort of focuses only on the Google page. So as long as there's Google, we will be able to understand the results they understand and sort of like create those relationships. And just to close it up, my main dream is that because of this mind map and because of the things that I can do here, for example, you can just structure it, the thing however you want, you can just drag things around. Oh, wow. Yeah. The reason that I spent so much time creating this sort of like UI and infrastructure is because what I want you eventually to do is you will be able to click on a cluster and then based on that, you will be able to have a content made already in the site and now a bridge between your WordPress site and this framework. And this means that as SERPs change and as time passes, we can automatically sort of update because as Mike Pierce, who I love from NFG says, content is never static. Like you cannot just like make a page and forget it. You need to constantly update it because SERPs are changing. But who goes back and updates like 5-year-old content? Yeah.
Damn! Man, that's crazy. I mean, so like, is this something that is there like a minimum then, like say for like the amount of keywords you should be putting into Keyword Cupid?
Yeah. There's only a minimum. I mean, I have a minimum of 50 just for the sake of it. But the bottom line is that because this approach is totally supervised and needs a lot of data to learn, the more data you put, the better. There's a caveat to that, and that's why this is. And to be honest, like I'm not. I wanted it to be like that. I wanted it to be sort of like kind of weird and kind of like nerdy because I do think that the people who spend the time to actually analyze like there's another one here that I was so it was Jenner, I think. Bruce Jenner, accident, car kill. All right. So there are certain amounts of people that would go and look at this and be like, Caitlyn Jenner and Bruce Jenner are the same. So I'm just going to write the same article. But the reason that this was split into two and also like the proportion is important is that obviously for the people that are not in the US and they might not know, Bruce Jenner was an Olympian that had a sex change and then he became a woman. Some people, because there's a lot of like less progressive people, they are still identifying him as Bruce Jenner. That person was in a car accident. Some people refer to him as Bruce Jenner and some people as Caitlyn Jenner. The fact that this was grouped into two different things sort of shows the dichotomy of our society and the fact that predominantly he's identified as his sex right now, but there are some people that are a bit less, open-minded and they still refer to him as Bruce. A person who will go all the way and understand and be passionate about what they're doing, they may start asking those questions with their partners or themselves and be like, all right, maybe we need to sort of like address this. Maybe we need to sort of like, create some content around this. And that's why I keep saying that it's very difficult to sort of be absolute, like to give a blueprint of like, you follow this and you just do this and like this, like, you're done. Like I wanted to build a system that will help the people who want to do the research and who want to be passionate about getting position one. And that's why it's very difficult to say that you need to provide 555 keywords or 5,000. We do have an upper maximum of 40,000, and 40,000, like the infrastructure that goes behind it and the GPUs that I need to list in order to train those neural nets, it's massive. Like it might take 20 hours on a GPU for that amount of keywords. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. So again, I don't want to like fall into the cliche of it depends, but yeah.
All right, Brian. I hope that answers your question. Brian says, that's deep, man. Great explanation. I guess he loves it. Go ahead and turn your camera back on if you can. Because we have a few, just some questions here just around Keyword Cupid. We have one here by, let me go ahead and wait for
my camera's off.
Yeah, camera's off right now. I just see your screen right now. So there you go. All right. So we
got so many technical problems. I'm sorry, guys. This is the 50th episode, man. Subscribe, man. Make it 2,000.
Oh yeah! Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell because I'm almost at 2,000, guys. Let's get it for this episode. Let's get this 2,000 here. Okay, we got a question from Hobby. He just asked, "Hey, can a user use long tail in Keyword Cupid?"
Yeah, 100%. And actually, that's why I advocate that long tails, PAAs. Auto-suggest, Jasmine, who is brilliant and she's writing our blog, like she actually published another really nice, interesting post today about how do you go from cluster to content. So I suggest you read it. But what we're saying is that keywords which have intent and soul, if I could say, keywords that have some sort of idea behind them are the best ones for this methodology, because Google has collected all these kind of signals of like what a person is doing. Like they're clicking because they care about best protein bars for bodybuilding, or best CBD gummies for my dog which has anxiety, or best supplements for a pregnant woman with lactose intolerance. All these actual keywords, they are revealing a pain point behind them. So those long tails, they are grouped usually very well. And I can show you example also like of what I'm building right now in Keyword Cupid. Yeah.
Some new features that you're doing? Is that what I hear?
Yeah. We're always evolving. We're always like, again, like the only thing that I keep saying is that, I had to look at myself and be like, oh, what are you? Are you money driven, or are you like, sort of like value driven? And I really wish I was more money driven because it would make more sense to me. But there is definitely a component where I do really, really, really care about the people that are using this. And I do want to grow this and bring more things that make sense to you guys, because this has been my strategies, and I can show you, like, I cannot show my money side definitely because there's a lot of things that go out when you open that kind of worms. But the more case studies that we're going to publish, and we have like very interesting examples, like one of my friends who is a magician, he's like an amazing magician. Like his site skyrocketed since March or something. Like he went from like a few hundred views to like more than 10,000. So we hope to actually make a case study about that too. And like you need to know how to interlink, and I think that's the only key. If you interlink correctly and you care about what you're writing, you will succeed.
Interlink everything correctly, and you
not everything.
All right, so we had another question here by Garth come up. Do you tend to input question-based keywords in Keyword Cupid?
Yeah, question-based keywords, PAAs, and everything that has to do with long tails. I love, because think about it: best protein bar or best protein supplement. Did you understand what I'm talking about? Like best protein supplement doesn't have any intent, doesn't have any direction. Best protein bars for bodybuilding people who are like very low, like skinny fat. That has a person behind it, has an intent behind it. So for me, and I had this conversation again with one of the best SEOs that I know, that like I actually had it yesterday, and the guy is like top in casinos and everything. And what he said was the same thing that I believe, is that I never rank for best casinos. I never intend to rank for that. You rank for the lower things, you rank for all of them, and eventually you rank for the higher, because Google's like, yeah, you probably have the information. But like this notion of best massage chair, and that was my first site, and I failed it because I sort of I kept thinking best massage chair, I have to rank for what? Who is gonna buy from, I don't even search best massage chair for what?
That's right. So we got a comment here from Adrian. I was watching Leo explaining Keyword Cupid on Adrian Diaz Hasta La Vista Boss live stream a while back, and he was amazed then.
My first one.
Yeah, and he's still amazed now about this tool. And you know what, guys? I have to drop a knowledge bomb, because you have a value-driven coder founder behind this tool for us, which is awesome, right? Because I mean, you're looking out for us, you're looking out for your customers and the people in the industry. That's some great stuff. I gotta, you gotta.
Thank you, man. Honestly, history will tell. Like, I am not the one to choose that. I think history will tell, and like if people adopt this and actually that's value, we will see eventually. If not, to be honest, like it's just gonna fail. So, and for me, like I don't think that tools are evergreen, and I don't think that Keyword Cube is always gonna be. I will strive to be always like relevant and in your arsenal. But for me, as long as like we can push the industry and introduce something new, and maybe somebody else comes up and creates something better that I can also use for my sites. Like it's game. Like this whole thing is like. It's not about like a piecing code of who has the better tool or like, just get a share of the market. It's like, can we add value to a community that's pretty much reverse engineering a massive company? And it's more about coalition and, that's this whole industry.
Excellent.
Oh man, we got Garth saying you are on so points, Adrian. So basically, you can input an Ahrefs keyword export file into Keyword Cupid, right?
Yeah, you can do that. What I said is that like it's usually a better idea to do the research organically, like in a sense, find the URLs that you want that your vertical is touching. So like again, if we have a niche, like I can probably say more, but like in a sense, find those URLs. One important aspect is that I would recommend to keep it in the position 20 to 15 and above. So position 2 and above, page 2 and above, because what you want to get is the absolute sort of like most relevant things and most like super close things to that page that you're trying to rank, because pages are ranking for a lot of things for various reasons. Maybe Google is testing something, so like you want to know exactly what it is, the set that you're working with for that specific vertical.
Got it. It says Leo. Adrian says, Leo, you rocked. Respect, Leo from Hobby. That he wants to make this show a little longer to have you much. I mean, I don't know how much time you have, but I mean, everyone's getting. Oh man. Okay, guys, you better keep those questions coming because we have them here. All right. So I wanted to go. I mean, let's get into while people think about their questions here. Okay, we actually got one here from Juan de las Soulas. How it might relate to keyword research, SEO, and market research. So.
So can you?
It says how might it relate to keyword research, SEO, and market research? I mean,
you mean the tool?
Yeah. So one, if you can clarify a little bit, maybe we'll.
I think from what I understand from your question, Juan. Oh my man, content generation. Joe, no, and honestly, Joe is like it's a powerhouse of his own, and like that's why I keep saying about tools. Like Joe has topical relevancy. I don't know if somebody could consider this, compared to Keyword Cube or what I'm doing, but like the guy is an absolute amazing person, like all around, and like I would always sort of like promote people like that are really actually genuinely, researching and trying to advance the industry. And people from the IMG testing group, like Joe, like Mark, and everyone's like, these people have to be nurtured and they have to be like celebrated because they are like what's pushing the industry. Sorry, that was yes, the tool. So the tool, Juan, what I would recommend, what I would say about the market research is that, and I had like one of the things that I want to offer as a DFI service is like, you come up with a sort of like niche, right? Like for example, injury lawyers or camping equipment. And there is something that needs to be said of like, who is your persona? Like, who are you targeting? Are you targeting the father, the father of two who goes in the weekends with their family? Are you targeting the single person who just wants to enjoy some time in the nature? So I wanted to offer a service where we can actually, create those things and then create certain branches in your content around those personas. Finding these personas is massively difficult because you need to know the keywords first. So I was talking today with an agency that could help me with this and just work together. And they were saying that what they are using Keyword Cupid for is that they are putting a lot of keywords in, and then they are trying to map the different intents that are coming up into some sort of like a persona. I was thinking it from the other end, like you find first the keywords of the persona and then you cluster them to see what you're talking about. But maybe if you have a massive amount of sets, then it could actually help you, right? Maybe there is something here. So let's just start searching. I don't know if it answers necessarily the question, but I do think that there's a lot of value into understanding your niche and going to Facebook and going to Snapchat and Reddit and Pinterest and understanding who you're talking to. Yeah.
Love it. You know, I think that's a great. I mean, I think you and I should talk later on after this because there's a need in the enterprise world. There's a need in the enterprise world. I'm finding these intent keywords and like what you're talking about and how this making market research. And it's a huge market. Let's talk about that later on. But okay, you know, we have a few questions that are coming on here that are kind of related. Yeah. They go, what Joe Priest is asking, what are your plans for content generation? And then, you know, Hobby again asks, like, do you work on what new features are you working on for Keyword Cupid? So let's listen.
Yeah. I have some fun stuff. So I don't want to give away. I mean, they are very, very close. Maybe I can show something like, just for the love of it. Okay. Again, it's always like a sort of a kind of a note. Oh shit! Yeah, I might not be able to show because I will reveal my niches if I start showing things. Okay. So probably not a great idea. But yeah, so like just as an umbrella, the things that I'm working on. First of all, what I want is for you to be able to overlay your website on the stuff, the clusters. Because right now I'm telling you the topics, but if you have a massive site already, so what? Like, what am I going to do with it? So I have like a few nice visualizations that will help you sort of understand cannibalization issues, that will help you understand which page to optimize, because it's like, in a sense, page 1, position 1, 5 to plus. In a sense, they are trying to sort of rank the pages of your sites and the ones that you're providing with an opportunity. So there is where the volumes and the difficulties and everything will play along in my function, which I also will disclose because I don't want it to be black box, because what does it mean if I have an opportunity sort of metric? But yeah, like that is one of the main features that I'm working on first, that, you know, like that I'm happy about, because I need it for my sites too, to know which pages to augment. Maybe there's an opportunity here because you have a lot of keywords that are like position 5 and below. So it makes sense to just keep, you know, augmenting those pages. Or maybe there's a page that, you know, there are 2 pages that are having sort of, you know, keywords that are, in a sense, both page 1. That is a very sort of tricky subject, and I will talk about it a lot, because the fact that 2 pages are competing page 1 for the same keyword doesn't mean that they are cannibalizing each other. As long as the intent is different, that is exactly amazing. Like you should be able to dominate everything. The problem lies, and that's why. But I will never get over this. It's so fun. I'm giggling like a kid every time. I know. For the love of God, like 30-year-old man. But yeah, like, so there's a. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you're talking about having 2 is not really cannibalizing it. That's a.
No. Yeah. And that's the misconceptions that, like, you know, people are like, all right, I have like two keywords that are 2 pages that are page 1. That's awesome. Like that's you want to dominate page 1 at all. If you have, you don't want to show anything else. The thing is that the reason that I'm creating those charts is for you to sort of go and be like, okay, those 2 are page 2 for the same keyword. Could there be a notion that they are targeting the same kind of intent as well? Am I writing how-to articles here? Because if that's the problem, then that's a problem. So then you have to de-optimize one. But if you're like, and I think like Mike Pierce was telling the same thing like a few days ago, and Semrush has an article about this too, where you have Apple, like if you search about iPhone, like you get the first link is about, you know, showing what iPhone is, and the second one is buying that iPhone. Those 2 pages have nothing to do. Like the first one is an overview and the second one is a purchase intent. Yeah. So you can have as many as you want as long as it doesn't overlap. But if you have 2 how-to articles, both for the same keyword, different URLs, then they're both sort of competing, there's going to be a problem there eventually.
Got it. All
yeah,
right.
So that's the one. And then the second one has to do with content generation and on-page optimization. And again, like the reason that I think everybody and their grandmothers have like an on-page tool right now. So in a sense, I didn't want to like do the same thing as long as I have something to add. The additions from my part, and that's what I think we will do. And I was building it myself, but I have like a cool person that I really like, and we might partner up for this because, again, it's mostly about playing with other cool kids rather than just doing everything yourself. Like eventually, like you're looking around, it's like just the walls. It's like it's not fun. But the main addition for an on-page optimization tool through Keyword Cupid would be that you're not optimizing against one keyword. You're optimizing against a plethora of them, like a whole cluster. So what I'm showing with SERP Spy, which is pretty much what I'm calling like the SERP Spy, is that when you have like different keywords that are the same thing, they have different sort of entities. They have different sort of content length. They have different H2s. So why would you optimize for one keyword and you don't optimize across all of them at the same time? Because they all mean the same thing. So a more of a 360 approach. That's what I am sort of suggesting.
Nice. We have here from Brian a comment. Your mind map layout is based on topic for a page, then H2 tags, and then broken down to subtopics that should be covered under those H2s.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it. So in a sense, again, it's not necessarily you have to create all the H2s, or like I'm trying to stay away from saying you have to do it a certain way or you have to put them, otherwise it's not going to run. Because like the bottom line is for this to be, as I said, an enabler, not to tell you what to do, because I want people who view it. And that's why in the beginning, the first phase is back in 2019, 2020, when I released that, I had this as a full-fledged keyword tool. So you were providing a keyword, and I was doing the keyword research for you. I was pulling all the metrics and all the relevant keywords that I thought that was relevant. And I soon realized that this was hubris, because in a sense, two people who were both targeting the CBD niche and they provided best CBD oil, they get the exact same thing. And I'm like, but who's gonna win here? Like, there's no, like, they have the same stuff. So that's why I threw the potato to you and be like, bring me the keywords and I will tell you what happens here. And then you can choose to do whatever you want with it. Like maybe you want to create a massive pillar page or a massive skyscraper content, which has all of those things as different paragraphs. And then you link into smaller articles. So that has worked as well. Like I haven't seen it for me, but I have seen it for clients where they have like a massive like a page that accumulates everything. And then with relevant anchor, they're just pointing to the supporting page. So the supporting page is about that anchor, but then the main pillar page is just receiving all the traffic and all the good stuff.
Got it. All right. So I wanted to go into, I mean, you said you have a few more times. So I do want to get into this one case study that you're telling me about.
I'm sure till the night, bro. Like this is fun.
All right, guys. So keep your questions coming, but I do want you to share this new revelation that you have, this new thing that you're doing. Because I mean, I want people to hear it first on my 1-year anniversary, episode 50. What was this thing that you're working on right now?
Yeah. So, and again, like I want to preface this with the fact that, you know, when you are working and you are trying to add value, you and eventually end up across amazing people, better than you, and that's the best thing. That's the best place to be. And for me, I have been blessed to be very close with people like Steve Toth, James Dooley, like Jason Hennessy, and from Hennessy Digital, and particularly with Jason, he has brought me one of the examples that we have been running, and kindly allowed me to share some information. Although we're going to publish a more the deliberate case study later on. So there's a site, it's called proteinbars.com. Very nice domain, zero sort of DR, and actually, like if I can share it right now.
All right.
No, sorry. Sort of like the DR was zero for the site. We started working on this, and we started publishing automated content, and the automated content was good. Like pretty much if you go here, the main thing that you can see here is that by using automated content, we were able, and publishing a lot of automated content, which is good quality because of various reasons, and a really good supporting team underneath. We're able to sort of like rank without any backlinks, without any sort of, not even the EAT. We're pretty bad actually. We're able to rank for like, what are we ranking for? 3.1 thousand keywords, and it keeps increasing drastically. And one of the main benefits that we did is that, because we were hovering around page 2, page 4, and we were just like, dancing around. But then what we did is that we started focusing on specific, sort of in a specific industry and a specific niche, as I was saying before. So all reports, and I'll show you like the methodology behind it and pretty much what I want to eventually have in the site. But in a sense, what we're doing is that, like, this is pretty much one of the clusters that I built for this website, and like the bodybuilding ones, bodybuilding protein, like you can just see all the different sort of my protein bodybuilding. There's a lot of things here that have to do with bodybuilding.com, weightlifting drinks. And what we started doing is that we're starting to targeting a very specific kind of vertical, like that has to do with protein bars around bodybuilding, and started interlinking those articles that have to do with bodybuilding to each other and nothing else. Because we have so many verticals here. We have, racing and dieting and cycling. And those are all different. And since we started doing this, like you can see here, we're ranking for bodybuilding keywords that are like more than 500, and all of them are position 1, are page 1. without any sort of like backlinks or any sort of authority for a DR0 site, right? That is important to note. And the way that we did this is like, we generated articles like this. These are the briefs that you're getting by clicking, like, for example, what to eat when lifting. And this is the bird example. Like what to eat.
I mean, proteinbars.com, that's a great domain. Holy crap.
I mean, Jace, man. Jace, that's all I am. But like, for example, like I'm just going to show a few things of like where the game is played. What to eat during a workout, what to eat when weight training. If you read them quickly, you'll be like, this is not the same thing. What are you talking about? They're not having a different intent. But the workout is not weight training. Like a workout could be a HIIT workout. And what we're doing, and this is pretty much what I hope to bring into Keyword Cube, is that when you click on this, you're getting a brief that is like this: what to eat when training. You see here, and this is the H2s. This is the number of words. This is the targeted H2s. It has some have your money keyword or some simple outbound links. This wasn't good, but you can see here that the targeted ones have to do with powerlifting, powerlifters. Powerlifter. So the weight training and protein bars had to do with powerlifting, whereas when we were targeting the what to eat what to eat during a workout. So this should be eat and workout while working out. This was more about HIIT, I believe, intermittent fasting. You see lifting weights, sprint, cardio, had a very different intent. Hunger. So in a sense, he was talking about a different thing. You didn't see powerlifters here in the H2s. Again, the way that I produce this is that I'm scraping like for those keywords that come up from these clusters, I'm scraping the articles in order to be able to calculate all these metrics that I showed you. Like, for example, this has 1900. This has 1000. So if you were to put eating during a workout and carb during workout, because you need carbs during a workout, that's why this will group together. If you hover, you will see that there's a certain amount of links that overlap. CNN. It's very difficult to do this manually, but org. Yeah, there's also position too. So like, anyways, like the bottom line is that once you do this sort of strategy, like what I was describing before is like, if you pick that article, that keyword as your main keyword, you optimize your pages. This is 1,000 words for all these 15 articles that are ranking. This is 2,000. So which one is correct? Like, and they're all meaning the same thing because they came out from the same kind of cluster methodology. So that's why I keep saying optimization across the whole thing. And that's what we're doing. We're just grabbing H2s and H3s and spinning them that are coming from the articles of the first page for all of those keywords. And eventually we end up with something like this, which is the skeleton. We have like simple images and simple sort of like lifting weights. Like there was another one, lifting weights after weight training. Smaller, carbohydrates, fats and stuff. It wasn't great. And that's why I haven't published it yet, because there are like, if for example, like this is a SERP that has to do with a lot of, products and stuff, and it's a shopping thing, it's not going to have as much content, so the brief is not going to have as much meat. So there's always like a give and take. But I'm using the strategy a lot in my money sites. I do think that there is a massive need to have. So yeah, just to close this sort of loop. It is important to do interlinking properly. And that's what we saw here, is that the moment that we started publishing content around this, and a lot of content, and sort of interlinking properly, like the pages started to get exposure in a sense, because they were sort of all satisfying the thing that Google was expecting. And that is one thing to remember.
Wow. If you see my face, my jaw was dropped when you're going through that. I was going to flash it over there, but I was like, I'm going on to territory I've never done in my live stream yet. So, man. Okay. So, so when you say interlinking properly, because, we always say interlinking. Yeah. I think everyone has, I have my own interpretation of interlinking, keywords and stuff like that. But what is your interpretation of interlinking properly?
Yeah, and that's a very good question. And again, one of the questions that I'm refraining from talking to in a sort of a definite kind of manner, because there's not exactly a good strategy. Like, I have tested different things. For me, I think Corey was describing a really nice strategy of how he's picking the anchor text has to be also in the header of the page that he's linking. And tricks like that make sense. And you can do all sorts of things. The main thing for me is that the page you're linking to, the anchor text should be exact match. And I hear a lot from people is like, you're not going to get penalized if you use exact match, but like, how are you going to get penalized for internal anchor? Like Google wants you to do this so you can mediate that. That page is about protein bars for bodybuilding, for bodybuilders who are like, come from rehab. Like, if you don't show, like, the problem lies when you start having outside sites doing that and sort of like gaming the natural kind of like context. But I mean, if you don't do it, you say, who's going to do it? Like, and that's why I keep saying like that. If you have a page that's targeting something, make sure that this targets, like, that intent is only target from that page. Link with that intent that you want from all the pages that you want to sort of, create this silo with, but then just leave it there. And one of the most important things for me is try to be very frugal with the interlinking things that you're doing, because there's a lot of plugins that are like, you refer to Google here, or actually not Google, you can do that, but you refer to protein bars here, look back to protein bars, or you refer to cardio here, link back to cardio. But the moment that you're doing this, you're sort of diluting the relevancy of that page. Like, if I start linking the bodybuilding one with the cardio for cycling, we're talking about now, like, in a sense, think about what the Google bot is doing, right? It goes to your site and then uses BFS or DFS or whatever to just traverse your tree, and starts touching about best bodybuilding bar for powerlifters, best bodybuilding bar for weightlifters, best drink for bodybuilding. And then once they check, it's like, okay, you're talking about bodybuilding, and then you're going into cycling or you're going into diet, and they're like, okay, which is the intent of a bodybuilder who wants to cycle? Is there a prevalent intent like that? Do people search that are into bodybuilding? Maybe they do, but in a sense, you just diluted your intent, and hopefully there is that kind of person out there. Because if there's not, someone who is more targeted is going to rank better. It's all about communication.
Love it. That's a great answer there on interlinking. I mean, we have actually a question here from Joe. It goes, how are you taking care of your internal links? Are you manually placing them or automating them?
Yeah, manually. I mean, so for the examples, because I mean, again, I think it goes back. It's like this dance of like, automate things, but also like care about your site and care about what you're doing. And like, I do automate a lot of things, but and I know that Joe like has some insane things better than me that who creates sites automatically. And for those cases when you create like massive pages, it doesn't necessarily make sense to just manually place them. I choose to, like, I want to be very targeted about what I'm placing. But there is ways to automate. If you just follow that methods that I'm saying, which is like take your main keyword, put it somewhere in the content, and then link to the article. It's as simple as that. The whole point is like, how many are you putting, and like, what is the structure that you're using? Like, what you can't, if you have like 100 articles on bodybuilding, you can't just interlink 100 from one to the other. Like, it has to be some sort of strategy. And I don't think that, because those things are all hypotheses, and it's mostly directional, like the same way that we're using entities. The entities they're not ranking, and I can show you why. Like BERT, for example, has been trained on Google News documents. And actually, let me show that example, because I put together like an example about BERT, because people are using BERT and they keep saying about this, but they don't, like, it's very easy to use it. And it's very like this is BERT. Like, you can just go to this page and just download a BERT training. This is pretty much what Google needed to do in order to get the patent. So download BERT. It's just a vector. So in a sense, what you're doing, like, I have sentences here, right? Mm-hmm. And what BERT will do is that it will transform the sentences into a multidimensional vector of numbers, and then it will just tell me what matches with what. So in a sense, I love search engine optimization. Keyword Cupid is the best keyword research tool. Hey, it found out that from those two sets, it tries to match the one to the other. I want to travel. I live in New York. Where are we going for dinner tonight? I like pizza. So in a sense, I had sentences here and sentences here, and I sort of translated those sentences into vectors through BERT, because it has captured this sort of, I hope it has captured this sort of lexicographical similarity here. And then with mathematical sort of means, I was able to find out what is the closest thing from one to the other. But what happens if I change this search engine optimization to SEO? I love SEO, I like pizza. Because the Google News documents probably didn't have as many SEO, or it means something else. So now, like, the system hasn't understood all these principles that you obviously know when you're searching search optimization or SEO in Google, you're getting the same thing. They are LSIs. But from that model, which is a Roberta, which is like the Roberta here is like the latest one, the version 2, and the still Roberta based version 2. It's a very good model. As you see, it works. It understands, but obviously it has been trained in the past about specific documents. So, sorry, just to close the sort of crazy loop, is that it's not enough to just use the entities. The entities are helping you because they are forcing you to write a certain way. And that's how it eventually works. The same goes with interlinking and all this good stuff.
Wow. Oh my God. All right, guys. Man, we had, okay, because coming close, I mean, we're over here, but some said you can stay here. So let's see here. We got,
Oh, I can stay here in the night. This is fun. Like, I want to be in this show for so long. 50 times, we pass. I am not leaving until we pass 2,000 subscribers. I'm going to be here all night.
Oh man, come on, guys. Let's go. Get me to 2,000 subscribers. I need 2,000 subscribers. Let's go. Let's make this episode get us there. I just need about maybe 40, 50 more. If you got multiple accounts, just switch over and like and subscribe.
Do what you have to. I don't care. I need to go have dinner eventually, so please.
All right, guys. So, okay, we got one here from Garth and Adrian about talking about like this is what's your take on internal links from navigation or sidebars or related post plugins? Does this mess up with your silo?
Yeah, no, I wonder about this question. And again, I don't have hardcore evidence. I don't think that it does. I think that it's very easy for Google to understand what's contextual and what sidebar, footer, header. So, and for the love of God, if that was messing us, then pretty much like the sites would have to have custom headers for every page in order to be able to rank. So I don't think that it's a problem. Again, there are sort of extremes. Like I had a friend who's using the tool, and we have worked a lot on his site, and we have explored it a lot. And he had like different categories. For example, he had best product categories, he had VS product categories, and then he had comparisons categories. So they were all like in the header, and they were all like linking into different things. So the pages were cannibalizing themselves crazily, and it was a very big site and difficult to fix. But I was actually talking about this with Mike Pierce from NFT the other day, and he has a really nice strategy. Like, yeah, I do think that like it makes sense if you care about those things to follow those folks, because they have amazing sort of structure strategy. And one of the sites that I would also recommend to check is runandrepeat.com. Runrepeat.com. I think this is a brilliant site, and brilliant site, brilliant sort of silos and navigational things, and they're ranking for everything. So check them out.
Runrepeat.com. Is that what it is? Runrepeat.
Yeah, I don't know them, but hey, if you see that.
All right. So I'm curious. I mean, maybe this is Javi has a question here on what are best practices with multi-language SEO. But I'm curious, like, does Keyword Cupid, can you use like multilingual, like other languages?
Actually, yeah. So I have to push more videos, but the one video that I have on the site is, again, I'm Greek for whoever doesn't. Actually, yeah, the Leo concealed it. My name is Lefteris, but most people are going like left what? I'm going to call you Lefty, so I'm like, fuck this. I'm going to put Leo. So like what I did is that I did an example of Greek music keywords, and with the previous version of they were Greek terms. And when I did this from the US, when I did this from the location of New York, the clusters weren't good. Like they were grouping things, but they were just jumbling them up. When I did this from Greek SERPs, when I did this from like the Greek location, and again, the video that I have is a very outdated model. So it was back when we didn't have enough people. And the fact that these models are training all the time, they keep improving the initialization weights because they are seeing different things. So they have improved dramatically since like 2 summers ago. But from that location, they were able to find out which singers used to be married and which sort of like singers appeared in what venue, because like the sort of the geolocated SERPs, again, for the various purposes of what Google is doing, and they're doing a very good job. They were able to understand the context of like those people. Like when you're searching for an artist, you're searching because you want to go to where they perform. And now they were able to understand, like the models were able to understand which artists go with whom, and they appear all in that venue. So you could find a lot of relevant information.
Nice. All right, guys, be sure to keep asking your questions because I'm going to ask you my question that I ask all my SEO professionals here. Is that, hey, I mean, if someone wants to get into SEO, what would your advice be to them?
Yeah, resilience. And I guess like SEO is one of these magical fields. And the reason that it's magical field is because you see a lot of people here that are hustlers. Like people, like it's sort of implied that you're working weekends sometimes. It's like kind of crazy in itself. And again, this is not a good thing. I'm telling you, like I'm not implying that it's a good thing, but it shows a certain kind of personality that like is trying to do something. It's trying to improve. Like maybe there was an issue in their past lives or something, and like they are trying to grow. And that is enough to find amazing people, hustlers, brilliant minds, people who want to create. And I think that alone is a very good reason to get into SEO and to understand like that this is a game. The thing is that because things are changing continuously and they will keep changing, it's a field that doesn't stop. So there's chaos, there's a lot of shiny objects. So it's going to be difficult, like to sort of to find a way to just say that you're the expert. At least I never feel like an expert, honestly. Like I have talked with so many JVs because I want to be exposed into different things. I learn from every partner that I have, and I think they're all improving me in their own way. And I just don't think that it ends. So resilience from that point of view, and just keep pushing. Like obviously there is funds that needed, and that's because I have had a few cases of people that reached out, and because of, again, I'm not going to judge it necessarily, but and that's why I always try to be very, very sort of calculating what I'm saying. And it's not because I'm afraid to make a stand. It's because there are people who are taking this advice to an extreme. And what I mean by that, I had people who are like a specific case of a person who lost their job due to COVID. And they were like, I have researched a lot of those guys that are saying that you can rank an affiliate site and make a lot of money through content. So I have taken my kids' tuition, the college fund that I'm saving, to just put it on a content side, to just put money on to just put food on my family's table. And that's where I consider that there's like a sort of a little dark hole, because there's a lot of reasons that sometimes things are propagated. And again, when I saw that site, it doesn't mean that, just go create the sites with automated content and you will be a millionaire. That's not how it goes. It works. You need to do a certain research. There's definitely something to pay attention here, but I do think that there has to be a certain level of calmness in the way that the process works, and not enough stress in necessarily the results, because it's like there's going to be so many mistakes. Like if I show you how many sites I'm losing all the time because I fuck them up so bad. So I guess it all revolves around resilience from my part, and keep pushing, keep being in love with what you do, and yeah.
Resilience. I love it. Okay, I didn't see any more questions come in, Leo. I want you to go
That's
ahead.
it.
Oh wait. Oh, we have one more. I got one coming by. Brian here. If we do a huge keyword dump, what's the limit on your system so it doesn't crash? Are you still doing it manually like you were last fall? Oh, we're getting a bunch of questions now. We don't want you to leave.
Yeah. This is it. It's fun. It's like I haven't done this in a while, and no, it's fun. So the hard limit that we have right now is about 40,000, where we are pretty confident that it's like it's not gonna. It takes a while, like 20 hours sometimes. I have seen like bigger agencies that are. I have done like some sort of pilot things for people who wanted it around like 200,000, but again, like we're talking about 200,000 times 100, right? So in the sense, like we're talking about a lot of like different combinations that I'm analyzing, and it's sort of sometimes and again, it's not worth it. Like, and I actually had this exact conversation again today. It's like, if you think that you will get a value out of a 40,000 keyword list, it's just a lot of stuff. So most of the time, even for my purposes, I never put that many keywords because I want it to be more targeted. So in a sense, I want to target a specific vertical. And again, I'm very, very, because it's like, I want to share stuff, but I'm like, what's going to happen if you share? But if you have like, let's say best massage chairs, which I tanked that site, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Like best massage chair, if you target best massage chair for elderly people, like that sort of category, try to collect everything under that vertical, under that sort of intent. And chances are it's going to be like, what, 10, 20,000? I mean, I doubt that you will get so many keywords because eventually you will need to create them as a post. Like, what's the point of you spending all these credits and like having all this these sort of clusters if you don't actually go and write the content. And it's going to be very expensive to write, 500 pieces of content. So for me, it makes more sense to be targeted. Like, let's say that you want to create a branch, and I call them branches because, in a sense, in my mind, they are like branches on the tree on this whatever your content strategy. You have that sort of like branch here where you're just interlinking with each other, and this plays along. And that's pretty much what I'm working on to build as a DFI service right now, where you just click on a cluster and we have a team. And what I'm building right now is, because again, I was thinking of creating my own team about content, and again, everybody does it. So what I was starting to doing is, based on the approach that I showed you before with Bert, I am trying to analyze the writers. So I'm creating a marketplace for writers where for that cluster that you clicked, I will be able to tell you which writer has written things that have to do with them, with that specific intent. So yeah, like I don't want to charge for that. Like I want writers to just come in to sign up, submit their articles. The machine learning model is going to analyze their strengths. So because, for example, like what's good is going to be like if you order an article from me and my team has no idea about medical field, like you want me to write about medical field with what authority? So we want to be able to match you with the person that makes the most sense for that specific vertical. So yeah, that's something that I'm excited about.
I've never pressed that button twice in a show. Those damn clips come like once in a lifetime, and they came in twice here on your show.
50th episode, baby. That's
Man.
It.
Okay, so we have one here from another one from Garth. Are you creating the auto content with your own tool? Was there any manual review on the content?
Yeah, and that's another thing like that. So it's a mixture of things. We're not in that point where we're like publishing like everything in the web, and also like ethically, I don't know if that's a place where I want to be. Like and I do think it's not just like ethically. I do think that there's a merit to just marrying the two. Like write really good posts about specific verticals that you want or money pages, and then supplement like the more long tails or the more things that you want to talk about that are not exactly like the main thing with automated content that actually checks that box. So I think that's for me, it's what I will be pushing forward in my sites. But for this process that we showed you, there is a combination of like different tools that are in the market. GPT-3 is involved. Definitely, like I did try to train GPT-2 for specific niches, and it was working well, but it needed a lot of data, and it wasn't easy to productize. So I would say that if you are an expert like in personal injury lawyers, and you have an agency and you work only with medical doctors, for example, it might make sense for you to train the same sort of transformer, because those are pretty much open source models, and train it so it can understand everything about your niche and your industry. And this is going to write better than anything else that exists because it was trained today. The problem is like, how can you automate this and productize this with limited funding? Like I don't have $1 billion that OpenAI has, but GPT-3 and OpenAI are pretty much what sort of like creates all these like sort of funnels all these tools that are in the market right now, and they are good. But we do have a certain team that sort of proofreads it and puts this together and just cleans it up. And these guys are imperative. Like they worked with Jason before. And without them, we wouldn't have that sort of element. But again, the content, nobody wrote the content. That's the whole point.
Wow, man, that's some crazy stuff. I love it, man. That's some very interesting stuff. Okay, we got one more question. I'm going to take this last question. If nothing comes in after this one, I'm taking this last one. Hobby asks, what is the best way to mark entities in search results?
To mark? Okay, yeah. Wait, I have a way. So let me just say this, and I will say, and again, like this could be hurting me in the future because I want to get in that space. But let's just say that you hardly ever need to look anywhere else other than your sites and Google. Like I doubt that you personally, again, you need to look much further than just the very few first articles just to understand what's happening. Specifically for entities. The big question here is why entities? Why do you care if you need to put company 50 times? Like, as I showed you before, actually, did I show you this before? No, I didn't. Sorry for that. Yeah, I did. Sorry, I messed it up. So it was about the SEO and the search engine. So in a sense, what I'm showing here is that the BERT and all these models, am I even sharing?
No, you're not sharing right now. You want to share? Go ahead.
Okay. All right. No, it's fine. Yeah, I think I went back to the post. Okay. Sorry, guys. It's like it's late. Like, so yeah, what I was saying is that, like, why we need to have a conversation of why the entities. Like the entities are helping, and they are sort of like they are like enabling the writer to write a certain way. But my main question, and again, I'm not going to say anything because there's a big industry behind it, and like everybody can make their own conclusions. But like, is this a ranking factor alone? Is putting certain amount of keywords a certain amount of time in that in those densities the only thing that matters? Personally, I would care more about writing this, and that's what I do. Like I don't really like care about entities. I understand, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that there is merit to those things. So I don't want to make a strong thesis about this. I just think that there are like very creative ways that you can see like entities, and a few of them I'm revealing them in IMG too. It's like how you can use Google Docs, for example, to just put a document there. Again, those are not like this was from Beatos. Okay, I fucked up your name again, Beatos. Sorry. But like there are other people who came up with those things, and they're very interesting. Like you can just put like a description in Google Docs, and it will tell you. Or Steve Toth was describing how you can start typing in Google Docs, and it will show you like the entities that exist. He had a really nice video about this. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, if you guys don't know what we're referring to on Steve Toth's video, you can check out his YouTube SEO Notebook.
Yeah,
he has that. So check out SEO Notebook for that video. I'm gonna take this one last question from Garth. So would you use Keyword Cupid to generally build out your clusters, then use Keyword Cupid again in individual clusters that show up from the first run? So you kind of
that's a good idea. Yeah. I mean, so like I did this actually in the niche that I recently went into, and I did it like a massive strategy just to understand what's up, and then I focused on a specific kind of like vertical, and I grabbed more keywords to just analyze more. But the bottom line is that like if you know like the idea of like the vertical that you want to target, just grab all these keywords, try to do as more holistic research. And it's again, I don't want people to just feel like, oh shit, did I do this correctly, or maybe it's not going to rank. It's not that. Like you're already like by thinking and doing those questions, you're already like way ahead of the curve, because like nobody asked those questions. They're just like people are just targeting best camping site or something. So like just chill, like write this like from the heart, like try to introduce some sentiment, because I do think that as we go forward, sentiment is the only thing that's going to differentiate the actual writers from the machines. And this is going to be a ranking factor, like how much sentiment can you put in your post, which can make it different and engaging and funny and witty and all those things. So yeah. And again, I'm not a writer. Like it's like I chew nails every time I post.
Man, I think you have the most knowledge about now because you have the longest episode I've ever had here. So we have Garth. Thanks, Frank, sending the show. Joe Priest says thanks for a great show, guys. Solid stuff. Thanks, Leo. Awesome as always. You too, Dre. Okay, Leo, I need you if there's one last any advice, comment, whatever it is, to make this episode feel fully complete for you. The stage is yours. Please let us know.
Fully complete. I do want to give kudos to you, and I know it might sound cheesy or anything, but I do think that this is an amazing channel, and you are sharing amazing knowledge, very engaging, very funny, and that's why I keep saying like let's just push the 2,000 subscribers. Like I do love seeing people like you and other people that were referred in the video, sort of doing amazing things for the community and for virtually, as we have discussed, like no profit. So like. I do want to bring this comment back to you. 50 episodes. I'm blessed to be here, and I hope I can be here for the 150th episode or 100th. Let's just keep it like into the
Woo, you're on fire. All right. Thank you. All right, Leo, can you please hold on for just one quick second while I sign off here?
Of course, yeah.
All right. Let me see here. All right, guys. That concludes another episode of the SEO Video Show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Put I Love SEO in the live chat or in the description below to automatically be entered in some free memberships to Keyword Cupid, who I'll be choosing next week. Till then, peace out. See ya.
Thank you for watching. Hope you come back next week. Make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss a thing. Hope you learn something new, because the vibe is incredible. From the special SEO professionals, SEO video show. Let's work. Want to see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre De Vera helping you step it up. No delay right now. Time to level up. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Woo!